Hello, Mel here, VA Leadership Academy coach and client experience lead. Welcome to your branded analytics dashboard training. Let's dive in. This project is all about helping your clients actually see their results in a way that's simple, visual, and easy to understand. Most business owners don't have the time or the desire to dig through multiple different platforms to figure out what's working. Because think about it, there's data to be found in so many places, like their email marketing platform, social media, payment services, and more. What they really want is a clear snapshot of what's going well and where they can focus next. So that's where you, as the VA, can come in. By building a one-page dashboard, you're not just tracking numbers. You're turning data into insights your clients can actually use to make decisions moving forward. In this example, we'll use my fictional health coach who's running a 5-day meal prep challenge. I'll show you how to track key metrics like new subscribers, open rates, engagement, and signups, and how to turn that data into clean, branded charts all inside of Google Sheets. By the time you finish this project, you'll have a polished, client-ready dashboard that paints a clear picture, something you can showcase in your portfolio or recreate for future clients. All you need to get started is a simple Google Sheet. So let's get to it. Okay, so to get started, you're going to go ahead and open up a new Google Sheet and title it specific to, what you're going to be showing data on, but I'm going to title it 5-day meal prep challenge analytics dashboard, for September, we'll just say. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to create column titles for the data that you want to collect. So I'm going to set it up by week, new leads, email open rate, social engagement, enrollments, and cash collected. Go ahead and adjust that column so it all fits there. And then I'm going to go ahead and bold it all. Okay, now when you're deciding what data points to include, you don't need to include every piece of data, right? You just want to pick the main ones that are most relevant to your client's goals. So, for instance, if they're looking to grow their audience, increase their email open rate, boost engagement on social media, and, bring in some new clients, these are data points that I would suggest using. But of course, you decide for your client. Okay. So I'm going to just go ahead and fill in some mock data here. Um, but this is where you would take a look at your clients' platforms, email marketing, social media, payment system, whatever they use, and retrieve these numbers, all showing that you can easily collect and summarize important data for your client. So, all right, so let's just go ahead and put in some mock data here. So we'll just go all down here with the weeks. Okay, and then we're just going to give some numbers here. And again, I'm just making this up. We're just going to 10, 20, and we're going to increase here. Open rate, we'll say to start, it was like 10%, and then went up to 33%, 40%, went back down to, we'll just say 22%, and back up again to 44%. Social engagement, and this is like telling up likes, comments, any sort of interaction and engagement. So we'll just show that steadily increasing as well. So we'll do like 30, and then 35, 50, 55, and then 60. All right, and then enrollments, we'll just go ahead and do 10, 13 the next week, and then 20 the next week, and then we'll say maybe it goes down a little bit the next week to coincide with the email rate going down that week. And then finish strong, a little bit more. All right, and then cash collected. So I'm just going to take these numbers times my 997 price point that I've been using throughout this whole project journey. So we're going to have 9970, and I'm just using my calculator over here to do the mathing for me. 12,961. $11,964. And then lastly, 23,928. Okay, so now we have our mock data, or I'll just say our data listed out in front of us. But what's going to be really helpful for your client is now to create a visual representation of all of this. So that way, all of this data is super clear and digestible and understandable for your client, right? So to do this, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and highlight the data, and you're going to go to Insert, Chart. Okay, and sorry, I'm going to undo because I want to have two different charts. I want to have, I want to have the cash collected separate. And you can decide, based on what your client wants to see, but I'm going to go ahead and put these in one chart, and then I'm going to have cash collected in a different one. So insert chart, and I'm going to have this chart type be a line style. Okay, and then, sorry. You can right click on it to edit it. I want to add in a title. So we'll just call this growth by week. Okay, and then I'm just going to move this chart over to the very left. Okay, now I just want the cash collected, but I'm wanting to get in these weeks here. So I'm going to show you how you can get rid of these in this next chart. So insert chart. This time I do want it to be a column chart, but we are only going to show the cash collected. So we're just going to remove all of these if you just click on these three dots. So it just shows cash collected. And title. Let's call it cash collected. And we'll slide her over. We'll have this one. This will be right here. Perfect. Okay, so then it's really nice to also just include a short summary underneath each chart, just to really explain like the overall message, takeaways, so then your client can just see right away what all this data means. It's great for them to see it visually, but then like, okay, what's our takeaway? Because that's what they truly value. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to type it below it. And I'm just going to go ahead and merge these cells here so I can just type. So we'll say in September's 5-day meal prep challenge, we received 150 new leads, social engagement, increased each week with our consistent posting, and the email open rate and enrollments did as well, except for the drop in week 4. And then I'd maybe like add just like a little bit of like you as a VA, your thought here of like, why do you think that that dropped? Or, just to kind of paint the picture, because if it's something that you could change moving forward for next time, that'd be great to highlight for your client now. So let's say we looked into it and that week we changed up the call to action. We changed up the CTA to something different and whoop, open rates dropped. So that teaches us we're not going to use that CTA again. So we just say something like, we changed the CTA that week to try something new. So now we know to stick to our original CTA. Something like that. Okay, and then to be able to see it all there, you just need to go over to text wrapping and wrap the text there. And then there we go. That way you can see it all. Okay, and then I'll do the same thing over here. There it is. So we'll say here in September's 5-day meal prep challenge, we collected, and then you'd add up the amount of cash. So what you could do right here is just add in a little formula, and you could always get rid of it later. We collected 78,763 in cash with amounts increasing each week, except for week 4, which we can assume is in relation to our change in CTA. Okay, wrap that text so you can see it. Oops. Okay. And so then that's very helpful for them to be able to see. So, and just like, again, get that message like, okay, this is what all of this means. Takeaway. It provides so much value for your clients. So the last thing that you'll want to do to show professionalism is just by adding some branding. Make this dashboard on brand for your client. So you can do this by adding in your client's logo. You could pin that in up top or on the side somewhere. You will want to, change to brand colors and fonts, making sure it's, of course, easily readable. Um, so, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this now. Let's go ahead and we'll change our font. Let's say, let's do Roboto. So then you would just want to make sure everything is changed to Roboto. And then you can do that in here. You can edit the charts as well. So when you go to, just open it up. You can choose the background color, if you want it to be, let's say, a light purple, and you want the border color to be, again, you're going to want to match your client's branding colors, but again, change the font to match, and you'll just do that all throughout. So then, you can go in and change the titles there. There's your all. And if you want the line colors to be purple as well, you could change that. Okay, so then we'll just go ahead and do that for this one as well. Oops. Could do, well, actually, no, sorry. I just wasn't in the right place. I will have those be purple because then we'll have the background color be, there we go. I'm just gonna stay consistent with what I did. And again, keep the Roboto. Perfect. All right. Now you have an analytics dashboard that is super clear, easy to understand, and you can make it on brand for your client. Amazing work. We have just created a branded analytics dashboard through a simple Google Sheet to list out our organized data, created a visual chart of the data, and provided a summary so it's super clear what the data says and means. When you present this to a client, you could say something like, I've created a simple visual dashboard that gives you a clear snapshot of your challenge, campaign, whatever it is, results. Now you can instantly see what works well and how to make the best decisions moving forward. They will love that. For certification, you'll submit either a clear screenshot of your dashboard or a shareable link to your Google Sheet. Refer below this training video for exact instructions on how to submit your project. Pro tip for you, try really hard to keep your dashboard to only one page in length. You don't want your client to have to sift through tons of data and information. You want to give a simple, clear snapshot so they can easily and quickly see results and make decisions moving forward. Wonderful job!